Long story short, blue chip stocks are very popular, especially amongst the financial institution. Right now, the big question is whether it is suitable for both you and me. So in this episode, we're just gonna just go a little bit, talk a little bit about blue chip stocks, and then we come to a conclusion, right? So uh, the basic definition of blue chip, right? Believe it or not, is actually it's derived from poker, right? And back then, the blue chip was one of the most valuable chip in the game of poker, right? And they actually use that particular, I guess, word, right, on financial markets. And right now, when people talk about blue chip stocks, they are basically talking about really big and strong companies within a particular stock market, right? So I guess in a stock market, right, a blue chip stock is basically you are these particular have these particular characteristics. Number one, they are large companies. Number two, they have very stable cash flow, right? So they are very big companies, very stable, right? And they have a very good reputation. And no matter what economic situation, right, these companies can survive. Why? They have a lot of financial firepower, lah, basically, right? So that's the definition of blue chip, right? And in Malaysia, the blue chips or the very popular ones, I'll give you a couple of examples and I'll tell you why they are kind of considered blue chip, right? So the first one is Maybank, right? Actually, banks in general, Maybank, Public Bank, CIMB, all of them are considered like blue chips in Malaysia. Aside from that, there are other blue chips like Digi Celcom, or Celcom Digi is another blue chip stock, and also Tenaga, right? So right now, let us give a real life example. So if Maybank is considered a blue chip stock, right? During the economic when it's booming, right? People will still need to make loans. People will want to, companies will want to borrow money, right, to expand their business and whatnot, right? And if the company is and if the economy is not doing so well, sometimes it's individuals, they may want to borrow via credit cards and whatnot, right? So no matter what economic cycles, right, a lot of consumers and also companies, right, or individuals, we need to interact with banks or we need to borrow from banks, lah. May it be a company or may it be an individual, right? Aside from that, Tenaga, for instance, right? No matter the economy, whether it's a boom or whether the economy is not doing so well, right? No matter what, we still need to use electricity. And funny thing lah, just a personal example lah, especially during the PKP, right? I still remember staying back in the house. We were all locked up, and I think I actually used up a fair bit of energy when I was in the house during PKP. We had to use the aircon a fair bit. We needed to use the fans, the lights, to work, and also to actually light up the whole room, lah, right? Or light up the whole house, since we didn't have to go to the office, right? So the consumption of energy was very high, especially during the PKP season. So for Tenaga, no matter the economic situation, whether it's a boom or whether it's a bust, we still need to use electricity. And it's I guess air quotes here. They are kind of, no matter what the economy is, their business is relatively robust, right? And I think the third example which I like to give is the telco services. Like I use Axiata, right, or I use Celcom, right? And no matter I guess the economy, whether it's a boom or whether it's not doing so well, right? I still would like to use data, right? And I still consume the internet, and I still watch Netflix movies. So no matter what, right? All of these services are things that we need to consume, or we consume quite regularly, right? So the whole thing of it all, right? I think based on this example, we can actually boil down this about blue chip companies, lah. Number one, blue chip companies, they are relatively stable, as I mentioned earlier. And number two, no matter what the economic situation, their business model would still be okay, no matter what, right? Finally, the question comes to whether you and me should invest in blue chip stocks, right? So given that financial institutions, a lot of big ones, right, they will buy things like Sime Darby, Tenaga, they will buy things like Maybank, it's very popular, right? But whether it's suitable for you and me, lah, basically. So let me give you a couple of pros and let me give you a couple of cons in buying blue chip stocks, right? The first benefit of buying a blue chip stock is that it's relatively stable. As I mentioned, no matter the economy, whether it's going up or whether it's going down, right? You don't see the stock price suddenly just like from 9 ringgit, it plunged to maybe 1 ringgit, right? You don't see like big banks do things like that, right? Their stock price probably from 9 ringgit, probably go down to maybe 8 ringgit or 7 ringgit. It won't go down very, very low down, lah, right? I think even the BKP also, some of these banking stocks, they didn't go down that much, right? Unlike maybe the penny stocks, sometimes penny stocks from 50 cents, it can go down to 10 cents and you lose 1/5 of the investment, right? The thing about, so that's the first benefit of blue chip stocks, right? They are relatively stable in terms of their stock price, right? That's number one. Number two, they're also relatively stable in terms of their business model, right? As I mentioned to you, if you look at the power players, right? Or the players, the utility guys, like Tenaga, no matter what we need to use as services, whether the economy is a boom or whether the economy is a bust, we still need to use their services. So their business is pretty robust. That's the first benefit, right? So, if you want a safe investment, definitely a blue chip. Second benefit for blue chip is that it pays dividends, right? I mean, who doesn't like dividends, lah? And the benefits about dividends is that you get a recurring cash flow. Hey, thanks for the likes. Thank you. So the second benefit of I guess the blue chip is that it gives you recurring dividends, and with recurring dividends, it basically gives you passive income, so to speak, right? And quite honestly, a lot of retirees, every time when you go to a blue chip, when you analyst briefing, right, or briefing, every once a year they have an AGM, they will call all the shareholders, and at that point in time, you'll see a lot of older people, they'll go there, right? And these are their favorite stocks. Why? Basically, they probably buy 6 or 7 blue chip stocks, and these 6 or 7 blue chip stocks, if they pay dividends, imagine you get 7 incremental cash flows in a year by investing in blue chip stocks. So that's the second benefit of actually investing in these stocks, right? You get dividends, and once you get enough dividends, this will enable you to get, I guess, passive income. And this will be very useful, especially when you retire, right? That's the second benefit. The third benefit is that blue chips are very liquid, right? So if you want to sell, right, your blue chip stocks, there are buyers, basically, right? Unlike the illiquid small cap stocks, right? So sometimes, let me give you an example. Sometimes if I buy a very unknown company, right? Sometimes, when I want to sell a stock, I cannot find buyers, especially when the stock is kind of dropping down. So the good thing about blue chip stocks is that it is quite liquid. And part of the reasons why it's quite liquid is that you have institutional investors, right? These are the organizations I used to work with when I was an equity analyst. On top of that, you also have people in general. And, there's, in terms of if you want to sell or want to buy, it's relatively easy as there's liquidity in that particular stocks, right? And the fourth benefit, basically, right, is that, if, okay, I'm going to answer your question, Aina. Thanks for the question. Thank you so much. So, and then the fourth benefit is that by investing in a blue chip stock, right, you are basically, it enables you to sleep, basically, right? So, as some of you may know, I was retired at one time. And as some of you may know, I actually retired in my 30s, basically, right? And at that point in time, right, I was invested in the stock market, right? And that was the Zaman PKP, At that point in time, stocks were all like, the stock market was all like, it was going on a downward cycle, basically. And if any of us had any small cap stocks, right, can lose quite a fair bit of money, And if we buy small cap stocks, you can see it's like a roller coaster, It will go up very high and it go down very high. It go up very high, it go down very high. But like I said, with blue chip stocks, it's very stable. It stay at a certain level, basically, right? So, if you are a very conservative investor, so okay, I think, so if you're a very conservative investor And if you're close towards retirement and you want to maintain the value of your portfolio, definitely look at blue chip stocks, right? I would like to ask, is ASNB considered a form of blue chip stocks, or is it entirely different? That's a good question, actually, Aina. Thank you so much for the question. So, with regards to ASNB, Mana Saham National Berhad, right? They actually have a couple of funds, lah, right? I think one is Amanah Saham Bumi Putra. That's one of these funds, right? Basically, what it is that a fund, right? So what they do, right? What what ASB does, lah, is they collect money from people, right? So maybe Aina, myself, maybe person C and person D, right? They will collect all this money and they will put it in a unit trust, or they put it in a tabung lah, basically lah, this tabung, right? And this tabung will actually buy in different types of companies. Maybe it'll buy Maybank, maybe it'll buy Samdabi, maybe it'll buy CIMB. So basically, they will collect this money, put it in a little tabung, right? You can call it the unit trust lah, basically, right? And then the unit trust would actually will be managed by a fund manager. And this fund manager, what they will do is they will use their skills lah to buy and sell shares lah, basically, right? So it's an indirect way of holding blue chip stocks. If you buy ASB, or if you buy ASW, or if you buy ASB2, right? Their performance is always tied to the local stock market. So if you notice, right, if the stock market is doing really well, I'll give you an example. When I first started ASB during the early 2000s, at that point in time, ASB used to pay about 10 to 15% lah. It's a long time lah, but I mean, it sounds like an urban legend, but it's true. So back then, it used to be about 10 or 15%, right? So the question is right now, how was ASB? How did they afford to actually pay that much? Basically, the Malaysian economy was doing relatively well in the early 2000s, right? That said, right now, when looking at the economy right now, right, economy is like that lah, it's relatively flat, right? So that's one of the reasons why, if you look at your ASB, ASB2, ASW, right, they have a strong correlation with the stock market, because basically all the blue chip, right, are the biggest bellwether stocks lah. So if the stock market does very well, this will affect your ASB in a very good way lah, basically. So yeah. So I hope I answered the question lah, right? Thanks for the question. Thank you. So I guess the cons of investing in a blue chip lah, basically, right? I'll tell you, and if you've been following me for quite some time now, you'll notice I very seldom masuk blue chip lah, right? And for me, I would like to have the growth, right? If I buy small caps and I buy mid caps, right? Especially growth companies, right? In my earlier episodes, I talked a little bit about UEM Sunrise, right? UEM Sunrise. In 1 year, the stock last year, exactly 1 year ago, was about 25 cents, and right now is about 1 ringgit 8 cents or something lah. That's a benefit of buying a small cap or mid cap stock lah, basically, right? Or growth stock. Sorry, growth stock that's a better word for it lah, right? Why I prefer this? Why I prefer not investing in blue chip is that I prefer the growth lah. I prefer some action lah, basically, right? And another stock which you guys would see me invest lah, and I keep talking about it all the time lah, is Perak Transit. Perak Transit, during the PKP, it was, I think, 30 or 40 cents, I think, when I invested. And then right now it's about 110, 120 lah. It's about double, or, So that's the benefit of investing on growth stocks. Basically, you have higher capital gains, right? But if you invest in a Maybank lah, Maybank, like I said lah, the stock price is always flat. The only time when I saw Maybank actually was attractive was during the whole PKP, when the government gave moratorium, right? At that point in time, the Maybank stock actually dropped in price, So when the Maybank stock dropped in price, I knew that was a buying opportunity. For me, I just bought a couple of Maybank stocks, and it's one of my best purchases, right? So I guess in a nutshell, that is the benefits of investing in the blue chip stocks, right? Whether it's suitable for you, as I mentioned to you, number one, we should ask ourselves lah whether we are risk adverse. Kalau takut tu susah lah. I say better buy blue chip stocks. Why? The price will always stay at one level only, right? Or better yet, just buy ASB lah. ASB, you put RM1, you will never lose that RM1 lah, right? It's capital guaranteed, right? So that's the first benefit of blue chip. The second benefit of blue chip is that different blue chips will give you different dividends, right? So if you buy maybe 4 or 5 different blue chip stocks, right? Sometimes some blue chip stocks will give you dividend during January, some will give you dividends during March, and some will give you dividends during June, right? So especially as a retiree lah, right? If you really want to just live off passive income lah, right? I think a blue chip stocks is one of the ways of doing this lah, right? I think in the later episodes we'll talk about REITs lah. If you guys want me to cover anything else, just put it down in the comment section lah, right? But like I said lah, amongst the reasons why, again, like I said, investor profile lah, right? If you prefer more risk, then definitely go for growth stocks. And if you look at my earlier episodes, you'll notice I also bought this company called CCK. It's a poultry player, and right now with the Ramadan season and with chicken very popular, right? I noticed during Ramadan I even go to the bazaar and whatnot, right? Right now bazaar is so full, right? And I thought it's supposed to be quite an economically challenging time, right? But I noticed the bazaar's quite full actually. And I noticed one particular raw material which is used over and over again, which is chicken lah. So I actually bought a poultry player. If you notice CCK, if you go on your, browser, you look at the price, right? I think it rose about 30 or 40% in 1 year. So that's another one of my better buys lah. So yeah, okay. Thank you for the information. You're most welcome. I have almost no lah. We all learn lah. Honestly, even when I first started lah, I'll just tell you guys a story. Please recommend a good car for a 5K salary. Okay, I'll just tell you a little bit about my investment journey, then I'll just answer your question lah. Malayum, right? So how I started my financial journey, right, was like this lah. When I first started working, I still remember whatever I earn is whatever I spend, right? So if I earn about 1K lah, assuming I'll spend 1K, right? So I mean, at that point in time, in my 20s, right? So whatever I earn, I just want to, Friday, I just want to go out, enjoy my friends and whatnot. And sometimes it was very difficult for me to save, right? So I think one day what happened was my company lah, right? I used to work for an audit firm, and they made me stay back for quite late lah in the evening. And I was working quite late until 2 or 3 o'clock. So we used to have peak and off-peak season lah. So peak period is when you're very busy, right? So I was working quite late. And then I worked until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Then next day I had to go to the office. As I went to the office, I passed by a masjid, right? Tengok. I said, alamak, why is everyone praying around 8 o'clock? It's a bit late for the morning prayers, kan? I realized it was Hari Raya Haji. So at that point in time, I told myself, alamak, I need to get out from the rat race. And that was when I started picking up financial knowledge lah. So I know, long story short, you being here, you should, and all you guys being here, right? Give a pat on all of your guys' back lah. That you guys are here to learn financial literacy, right? And when you learn, you can make better decisions. And when you make better decisions, this is where you can get better returns, basically. Okay, so with regards to a car, right? Okay, I'll tell you a little story about mine lah. I never bought a car until I was in I think 30-ish. I think 32, 33 years old, I bought a car. And part of the reasons why is that for me lah, right? I know different people is different, right? So for me, I used to read books lah, and a lot of books say that if you buy a car, it will depreciate, right? In 7 or 10 years, right? If you spend about 100K lah buying a car, it will depreciate to quite a low value lah after 5 or 10 years lah. So my first car was my mom's car lah, right? Yeah, it's a hand me down. My second car was a second hand car, right? So yeah, I'm actually very thrifty lah. So like I said lah, with that money which I would otherwise buy a car, what I did was I invested that money, and like I told you guys lah, I managed to, I guess, retire in my 30s lah, basically, right? So but everyone different lah, right? So again, it depends on how far you have to go to work, whether you have to go to see mom and dad during the weekends, right? What's a distance, right? So my second-hand car was a car which is, I think, 4 years old, right? So I made sure I had 1 year of factory warranty when I wanted to buy a car. So that's, I guess, from a financial standpoint of view lah, right? It's not the coolest answer, I know, but I hope I help you guys lah. So is there any other questions before I end? All right, guys. So thank you so very much for the likes. Thank you so very much. I really appreciate it, right? I'm gonna try to have lives much more often, and I'm gonna have it more organized lah, right? This one I just have it at random times. Yeah. Please do ask. Please do ask. So yeah, even me also, I'm trying to practice on, trying to be more on social media. So that's one of the reasons why I'm doing the live session, right? So I guess so like I said, I'm going to try to come live maybe in a week, maybe 2 or 3 times, right? And next time when I come live, do check out in the community section, right? I'm going to maybe just put my announcements there lah, right? A recent video you mentioned that living rate has increased recently. Yes. So in my past few videos, you will notice that I talked a little bit about our cost of living lah. It has been increasing, right? And I'll just give you a very layman's example lah, right? So back when I was working lah, right? I still remembered there's this dulu lah masa makan nasi campur kan. When I started working during the early 2000s, I don't know whether you guys can believe this, but back then, you can get nasi campur between 3 ringgit to 5 ringgit, right? 3 to 5 ringgit, right? Right now, and back then, if I got a bill which is 6 or 7 ringgit, I'll probably stand up, flip the table already. I say, wow, this is so expensive, right? Right now, it's impossible to find nasi campur for 3 to 5 ringgit, right? So basically, what this is inflation lah, basically, right? And every time when there's inflation, it's actually, they call it the silent robber for our wealth lah, basically, right? So, and why this is quite scary lah, is assuming we kept maybe 100K lah, right, for a retirement fund, right? And we are thinking of retiring maybe 10 years down the road, right? But looking at inflation, looking at how things are getting more and more expensive, that 100K 10 years down the road will be valued less and less and less. So that's why I strongly believe that we should try to figure out a way to invest. Can you highlight what's a symptom or points we should keep in mind that is increasing? Okay. Symptoms or points that we should keep in mind. Okay, thanks for the question. Okay, so I think for me right, number one, as I mentioned in a lot of my videos, that things are getting a bit expensive, right? Number two, the job market, doesn't, I know of some people, they send resumes, 20, 30 resumes, right? They have not even got a phone call back. So the job market is relatively soft, basically, right? So I think what really helps is this, and I'm telling you my personal experience, right? Basically, when I was growing up, my dad used to always keep telling me, he says that education is the key towards towards education actually helps answers a lot of questions, right? If you want to learn how to be thin, there's always a book on how to be thin. If you want to learn how to be more, you want to learn how to invest in stocks, there's a lot of books on investing in stocks, right? So basically, yeah, my dad or my grandparents, we all came from Kedah, right? And many years ago. So it was only through education my dad actually managed to come to KL and work in a corporate environment, basically. Long story short, what I'm trying to say is that no matter the inflation, no matter, no matter us having lack of knowledge, right? I think the first most important step is to admit, right? I need help. I want to learn up. I want to level up. First thing. Second thing, always invest in yourself. Always invest in yourself. Like, yeah, like even like my dad also, he moved from Kedah, and we were all farmers back then. And then we moved to KL. And then after that, things were a lot better in as we got educated. We made as my dad was more educated, he made better decisions, and he passed down the value to me So and I truly believe that right now also as we get more knowledge, this will enable us to tackle more issues Long story short, what I'm trying to say is that if we need some financial knowledge on financial literacy, follow the influencers that you like, right? I mean, guys, this is the age of knowledge, and you can get knowledge from almost everywhere. Back when I was younger, I used to had to stop a cab, and then and back then there was no Grab and then we had to go to the library, right, just to pinjam books, and then it was a very long and tedious process right. But right now, you can get everything from YouTube. You can get everything from the other social media channels, right? So sayang kalau this is an information age, right? Absorb that information, right? Number one. And number two, take the one small step, right? Knowledge, when it's practiced, right, it's powerful, right? So even for me also, I have so much of financial knowledge, as you guys can see, but I've always been afraid to actually come on YouTube YouTube to do live, right? So I learned from other people, ways to go on live, So and then I took the first step, right? So number one, absorb knowledge. So to answer the question, if you have very little financial literacy, what should we do? Number one, try to get as much knowledge as possible. Go on YouTube, find your favorite influencers, right? Number one. Number two, after absorb all the knowledge, then take the small steps, right? Even for me, when I first started investing, I took the very small step. I make number one, my first step is to save up a bit of money. Number two, I put some money in ASB. Number three, I built financial muscles and I got, smarter and better, right? So it's a small little step, right? And every couple of months, look towards improving your knowledge, look towards improving yourself. Trust me, with better knowledge, better action, you'll definitely see good results. So I hope I answered you guys. True. Do you have any good channels you follow? Because a lot out there are bogus information. Yeah, actually, yeah, I'm one of the few which is actually an ex-analyst right? You can see that I talk a lot about stocks, right? And my information is packaged in a way that is sometimes it's a bit technical right? So yeah, even I find it very difficult to find good channels to be very honest with you guys. But luckily I work in the industry, right? So I think, you know what? Plug, maybe follow my channel and then do ask me questions, right? Every time when you ask questions, I'm going to come up with content to help you guys right? So let's make this let's grow together this year, and let's make the best for 2024, right? I don't mind because you give good reference that I could somewhat understand. Thank you so very much. Thank you. I guess I will end with this little thing right? When I was talking to some people retirees and whatnot, right? I still remembered when I was talking to them, right? And then they were telling me lah, they said that back when they were working, they never really thought about retiring, right? They never actually even built a retirement fund. They just, you know, just go with the flow lah. And I can see, some of them struggling lah right now. So the fact that you guys are here, the fact that you guys are learning, you guys are already one step ahead lah. So give yourself, I guess, a pat on the back, and congratulations for coming and asking the questions, right? With that, I hope that you guys learn something, right? I'll try to come on live about this time, right? And literally work till they die. Yeah, man. Trust. Yeah, it's quite scary. Quite scary. I went to Penang also. I was talking to a bunch of retirees lah, pensioners lah, and they were asking me lah, what to invest in, what's the good stock. By that time, once you're already almost 1 or 2 years towards retirement, right? It's hard to compound the money already. So for them, it was a bit late lah. It's a bit late lah, right? So, and for me lah, I really want to get financial freedom, right? And I actually got financial freedom at one time, right? So, right now, full disclosure lah, right? After retiring for 1-2 years, then I was creating content lah, right? And then my friend was asking me, "Hey, bro, what are you doing right now?" I said, "I'm creating content." He said, "Hey, come join us lah. You can create content and I guess so I actually join another financial institution, and I'm helping creating content also lah. So it's a dream come true lah actually. So yeah, it's so fun, right? So I think long story short lah, right, is that invest, right? Really invest. Even for me also, how I actually landed up as a content creator was I created videos, and until I got attention from other financial institutions, and then they say, "Hey, come lah, join us." So I joined them. It's really cool lah, right? And right now, I guess I'm doing what I like. I think, right? I think you can kind of see lah, I'm not stressed, not I'm all smiles and whatnot, and I'm sharing with you guys lah. So I find it fun at the same time. I hope that you find this session really fun lah, right? With that, I hope to see you guys very, very soon. Thank you, Aina, for all the questions, and thank you, Malayalam, right, for the questions too. With that, good night, and hope to see you guys very, very soon. Take care.